Hey, look, we've been at it about this thing with same-sex marriage, okay? And I got a very interesting question that I'd like to read to you, and I want to vlog about. I'm try to keep the vlog short. Um, and see, this is the problem. There's a saying that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's part of, God made marriage perfectly. Okay, marriage is there's nothing wrong with it right now. A man, woman get together, and they can have children. They can create life. When you have homosexuals getting together, they cannot create children. Not that that's the only reason to get married, but it just doesn't fulfill everything that a marriage can be. So it doesn't work. It doesn't fully work. And then you have to go through adoptions, and then you have to go to a process, and then it's based on a whole bunch of other stuff. It's not like, oh, we're going to just get together and have a kid. We don't have to ask the government nothing. We just create life. So that's my thing. Marriage works, and it was created. It works fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And when you start to try to change it and alter such perfect laws as marriage, then you really start to go down a tunnel, start to open up a whole can of worms. And so I got a question, and that's the basis of this. I got a question, and it says, why did God? This is on my whole thread about the Iowa decision and marriage, and so I've been debating that. So this is related to that. Why did your God make me a hermaphrodite, divided exactly male slash female, and naturally attracted to both? So this is the heart of why, when we try to change the laws, base these laws, marriage is between a man and a woman. When we try to change that, this is when you start to get into a whole lot of other stuff that just, you'll have to keep amending it and doing all this other kind of stuff and flip flopping it and all this kind of stuff. So basically, this person is a hermaphrodite. So they have both sexes and divided totally equal and naturally attracted to both, is what they said. So the question is, so my answer would be, so let's look at that. So what do you do in those cases? Okay, so same sex marriage wouldn't really apply to him because he has both sex. So then you would have to, or she has both sex. So you would have to decide whether the this applies to this person as they should marry a male and a female at the same time. I mean, they're both attracted to each a male, a man, which is not a hermaphrodite, and a female, which is not a hermaphrodite. Okay, so should they have the choice, or should they be able to only marry hermaphrodites? Okay, okay. So if they can marry, if they are allowed to marry a male and a female, or a female, okay, can they marry and they're equally attracted to both? Why can't they have both of them at the same time? Polygamy. Okay, so the thing about this, I think you get my point. Is like, or should they be married to both at the same time, or should they only be married to other hermaphrodites? It's when you start to append, and then you have to keep appending. When you base the marriage, the laws of marriage based on your genitalia, which is what we're doing now, we're changing the laws of marriage based on our genitalia. It is essentially a fight between the flesh. And so my answer to the question is our genitalia should follow the law, and not the law our genitalia. Okay, so here, that is basically what we're doing. We're basically rearranging the laws of marriage, which are oftentimes more spiritual and about love, sanctified, holy love, because that's what God did when he made a man and woman. They said come together, and it, you know, it's sanctified, you know, it's holy, you know, and marriage between a man, two men or two women is not sanctified by God, and it's not holy. Okay, so now holy, unholy marriages are not new. You know, back in Jesus' days, the reason why John the Baptist got his head cut off was for an unholy marriage. That lets you know how adamant people are about marriage. And it's funny, and I also think that it's slightly, this whole thing is more of a feminist movement. It's a form of feminism, you know. It's basically female. I'm sure males want to do, are following along, because males, just like Adam, followed along with Eve. But it is, you know, I think, you know, in general, women have an affection for jumping the gun, jumping for power, and because Eve was not tempted by anything, in a, you know, she was tempted by power. Okay, she was, you know, that's what she was tempted by, knowledge and power, and to be God, you know. So that's what, if you read that. But it's just interesting when you look at Herod and unholy marriages. It's not the first time, and so anyway, so that's my point. Now, with this being a fight of the flesh, I want to make sure that everybody knows there's lots of fight. Everybody fight with the flesh. So the fact that, you know, homosexuals are fighting with the flesh and the laws of God, that's typical. Just like everybody else does that too, you know. But in the case of the hermaphrodite, when you really thought about it, the question had nothing to do with marriage. The question was, why did your God make me a hermaphrodite? Which had to be, you know, and divide a male and naturally and attracted to both. Okay, so it really had, the question really had nothing to do with marriage, and it was on there. Now to ask that why, you know, first thing, why are you calling it my God and why not yours? You know, and second thing, you know, I mean, you know, why blame God for everything? I mean, we live in a world of sin, you know. What gets in the roots gets in the branches, you know. When we put chemicals and stuff in the water, you know, it affects, you know, it affects generations. So you need to look at your the root of the problem, or the root of your family tree, and see what was in your, you know, you need to ask your ancestors about it, you know. You know, what was in your family tree, you know. So, you know, and from my understanding, hermaphrodites are what angels are. So, and so, you know, God gave you both. He didn't give you less, you know. So, you know, what choices, you know, what choices have you made? I mean, since then, you know, I mean, what choices have you made? From my understanding, it was angels. Have you chose? You know, if you had the choice between a man and a woman, why haven't you also chose God? You know, I mean, you know, he says in Abraham to Abraham in Genesis, walk before me and be thou perfect. Angels, like I say, could actually walk into the presence of God because they were angels. I mean, do you walk before God? You know, so that's my question. It's like, you know, out of all your choices, have you chose God? Okay. So anyway, I didn't really want to go there. And anyway, God bless you all. Love you all.